fucking weird.
Well, it's because we've been gone for a little while, man.
Yeah.
And life happens, and
I feel like.
But here we are. We're back.
I feel like I've been on a dry spell and I forgot how to get wet. I just don't know what to do with it.
It's called Astroglide.
Yeah. Hold on, I'll be right back. It's just it's going to be one of those things where I got to warm up again.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Here we go. Speaking of warming up, we'll just pull this up right
now.
Oh, man. Intro. Yes, intro. Tell people who we are and what we do. So welcome, everybody. This is... Don't laugh. That just throws me off. Like, I already have a hard enough time doing the welcome to the podcast crap.
I'll give you a hard time.
Please. It might loosen me up a little bit.
Lord.
I've got a blockage that needs a little bit of work.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well...
Owen Wilson now?
No. I was actually thinking of a Roto-Rooter commercial, but whatever.
Oh, we could get the one that does the puff of air. Anyway, welcome everybody to the show. I'm not going to call it a podcast on this because this isn't the podcast
Yeah, no, it's
anymore.
A show now. We have like TV and stuff, and people could see our ugly faces.
Hi. That part's weird.
Wait, the camera's over here. I gotta be smart in the camera.
We got to get used to orientation. So welcome to the show.
Well, left is right and right is left on my end.
Yeah. Now I'm going to be confused because I'm going to think about direction.
Oh no.
Yeah, I didn't have direction to begin with. Focus. It's not a strong suit. Anyway, welcome to the show. This is Downright Dialectical. Even says right down there. See, I pointed at the screen instead of the camera.
I was going to ask why you got to say what the show is now because the name's right there.
Well, so when I was putting this together, I can't get the cameras to orient to do the full screen. So when you try and resize them, it doesn't work. And so
gotcha.
I did have them smaller so you could see the logo in between. Mm-hmm. And then Chelsea pointed out that looked ridiculous. And so I was like, okay, I'll change that.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Probably at some point we should update the format and just put it in the lower left corner or something.
Well, if I can ever figure out how to do the effects, I was just going to have all the vital information scroll continuously across the bottom. So like the name of the show and then the email address and the website and the Twitter and Facebook.
Like a ticker?
Yeah, like all the places that you can find us.
Oh, okay.
Without mentioning any relevant information at all.
Yeah, I know. That doesn't tell them what we do.
No, we'll get to that point.
Oh, yeah?
Now. Okay. And so the point of the show is not to be professional or perceive ourselves as experts in any way whatsoever, or to even take ourselves seriously.
Wait, you're serious?
No.
Okay.
So, I was serious about that, but not serious about this.
Right.
Or this. See, I keep pointing at the monitor instead of the camera, and it's just like back and forth.
Dude, it's technology. Come on.
I washed my hands, I promise. So
I can't.
This is not how I thought this was going to start at all. That B-roll material you're always talking about?
This is failure to launch right here. We got to start this one over.
Do we?
I think so.
Nah. We'll leave it.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? I don't know. See, that's weird.
What,
talking to people that aren't quite there.
People like this?
Yeah. Like, what do you think? How you doing? Anyway, so what we do on this show, or at least what we try to do, well, we do this part. We find things to talk about. What we try to do with the things that we talk about is make them make sense.
Right.
To regular people, because we're regular people. We're not experts. We're not professionals. We are? No, we're not.
No,
that's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So this is feeling way too much like Monty Python right now. At some point, I can't keep track of the sarcasm or when we're like anyway. So what we do is we find things that we're interested in talking about, and then we talk about them, and we try and approach it from a perspective of regular people. I hate when people go online with opinions and then they state them as if they're fact. And then they try and pretend like they're experts, and they're wanting to change people's minds. Changing people's minds is not my ultimate goal. It's the love of the conversation that got me interested in all of this in the first place. So that's why we're in this mess. I'm not quite sure how I've convinced you to keep coming back, but I appreciate that you do.
Yeah, about that.
Oh, shit.
I'm quitting tomorrow.
Let me guess. It's not me. It's you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bastard. No. We have these conversations because, honestly, at least from my perspective, I'm sick and tired of having to listen to somebody that is living in their own echo chamber, be it on Twitter or any other kind of social media, Facebook, Instagram, Rumble, Parler.
No, you've mentioned Rumble twice. I don't know what Rumble is.
Well, okay, I mentioned Rumble before the show. Rumble's a YouTube alternative, and in general, a lot of its growth has been driven by kind of somewhat right-leaning.
So it's like the YouTube version of Parler?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
It definitely has a lot of different voices. It's just alternative to YouTube that gets away from a lot of their efforts at, well, canceling folks.
Okay, so less censorship.
Yeah, less censorship, and also it allows a different platform for people to publish stuff that they can't get in other countries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like talking to people from other countries because it's interesting to get their perspective on America.
Well, yeah, because we're part of the world. We shouldn't just think, oh, well, America, and then
we're also far more of a laughing stock than what most people would like to think.
Actually, I watched an episode on what other news outlets in other countries say about America and what America says about them. And it's crazy, the correlation. Like the Russians will say that the U.S. is meddling in their affairs, and then U.S. says Russia is meddling in their affairs in their media, and they're both just basically mirror opposites of each other.
Well, and the truth is that both of them are probably correct to some degree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things about that whole argument of voter, not obstruction, but what the fuck were they calling it?
Voter manipulation?
Yeah, voter manipulation. That's always been a thing and always will be a thing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that Russia's single-handedly determining the outcome, but I think that they're going to have, whatever influence they can possibly have.
We as the United States have hands in everybody's elections and processes.
Yeah,
and stuff,
we're just sharing the love.
Nothing new.
This is the 60s. Everybody gets a piece.
Yeah, but the point of this whole conversation idea that we try to do on the show is it's something that really appeals to me because I'm able to voice my opinion. You have an opinion. Maybe if we have somebody else on, they have an opinion, and we all get after it and figure out what truth actually is from many different perspectives. And in general, you try to get out of your own brain space and pivot and try to say, okay, maybe I can attack this idea from a different angle.
Right. Which brings me to my usual, the whole reason why I named it Downright Dialectical is dialectical thinking is trying to come to the truth of a topic by looking at it from as many perspectives as possible. And also all the other names that I thought of before this were already taken. When we conceived the idea of the show, I bought the original starting equipment. And then when it finally came to where it was about to come to fruition, we were going to start the podcast, which we'll talk about the availability of that. I was like, well, we got to have a good name. And I think I've spent 2-3 hours sitting at the kitchen table and they're coming up with names just to Google them and find out that they were already fucking taken. And I got really fucking frustrated. And then I was like, well, we just want to throw information out there, be a little bit funny about it, be as accurate as possible, and just be downright diabolical. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I've played Scrabble enough to know that there's something close to that.
We are kind of diabolical.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
As far as being structured, we don't achieve that well.
Well, I mean, having a structure in a conversation is hard anyway, because if you have a structure by definition, you're not having a conversation anymore. You're having a debate.
Yeah, I like the free flow of it, and I love being able to kind of ping pong ideas back and forth. And so that hasn't worked very well in the past, which is why we're starting this now. And we're going to have our daily dialecticals, which is primarily going to be me. But then anytime that you're available, like either pop over, we'll do, maybe Zoom, because I finally learned how to do that. One thing y'all are going to learn really fast is that I'm not stupid, but I'm not technologically advanced. I'm in the remedial class.
If I showed him a shell script, his eyes would cross.
All I thought about was putting it up to my ear and seeing if I could hear the ocean. I do play it off more than I really am. The thing is I just spent so much time away from technology that it got away from me. And then I came back and I was like, I really am an old man. Like my heart is failing. I have severe arthritis and I don't know shit about computers. How did this happen?
Well,
I'm 32. I shouldn't be in the retirement home yet.
Yeah,
nurses, never mind. I'm going to the retirement home.
I was going to point that out. They do have that whole thing going on. But one thing that I wanted to kind of slide under the door with this is that have you ever thought about with the show what you kind of intend to do and intend to discuss in specific formats?
Yes. So the daily dialecticals are basically going to be just a catch up of the previous day's news. I do feel that the intake of information that people are receiving is too much too fast. We've not evolved to be able to handle that.
No.
And so one of the things that I've seen from my perspective as a pattern is that people will latch on to the headlines more than anything else. They don't actually read the content, but more specifically, they'll latch on to the first headline And then anything that comes along that might contradict that is automatically fake news and bullshit.
Right.
So they haven't actually even taken in the full amount of content from that first headline, but that's like solidified as fact in their mind. That is now their opinion and a standing point that they're willing to die on.
Right, but that's also down to attention span.
That is a big part of it as well.
And a lot of people aren't as aware of media spin as they might otherwise be, because you have spin to the left, spin to the right, and then you have just a few articles in the center. I mean, some outlets I've noticed are better at that than others, staying in the middle, like, AP stories. Sometimes they're pretty in the middle, but sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
Reuters, kind of the same scenario. But if you want to go to the right, stuff like Fox News and that
Fox
kind of
News.
And then to the left, you got CNN. But it's all dependent on the source.
Yeah.
And there's actually some rating sites and some ways to figure out the gradient on specific topics. They actually compile all the articles together and then factor them into, is this left leaning, right leaning, center leaning?
Yeah.
Which is great. The
Gives
problem
you a curve to grade on.
The problem is multifaceted, and we're not going to solve it on this show, but we're at least going to have some good conversations about it.
Yes, we are beautifully talented at pointing out problems and not having a solution. But I think that's a good thing, because we're willing to say that we're not arrogant enough to think that we have the solution.
What are you talking about? I can solve anything. I'm like Vanilla Ice.
Okay. There's a lot about you that I would think is Vanilla Ice. But so yeah, we're going to do the daily dialecticals, which will also open up a format for me to be able to talk about things that not everybody in the group necessarily wants to talk about.
Yeah.
I tend to kill the vibes a little bit when I get too philosophical. But I think that philosophy is important, and I can almost always tie it into the conversations that we have. There's a lot about morality that I would like to discuss. There's a lot about logic and, logical fallacies that I want to talk about that I've kind of fallen away from. I haven't been able to have those conversations. I haven't been able to discuss those things. And then some of it I can tie into the group conversations, like when we talk about, false idols and wannabe cult leaders, and because there's a couple of those coming up that I want to talk about.
The religious topics run deep around here.
And not even necessarily religious per se, because I was telling you, I guess it was like last week or so, that one of the wannabe cult leaders that I want to talk about is Morg.
Yeah.
I think he's obnoxiously fascinating. I disagree with him on many facets, but I'm still going to talk about him, and maybe that's contradicting, but I think that it's a conversation worth having.
No, I think the thing is that where it tweaks your interest is that this guy has a voice, a platform, and is putting out this content. People are actually consuming it. And I'm not a proponent of deplatforming anybody or canceling anybody.
No.
Because, I don't want to be canceled either.
Yeah.
But
don't hang up on us before we even call.
but what I think think's going on is that guy challenged what you thought is
accurate.
Not necessarily accurate, but beneficial information or beneficial thoughts to be put out into society.
Yes.
And I'm all right with that. I mean, let's get after it.
I agree that I don't want anybody deplatformed, specifically the ones that I disagree with, because now that their content is out there and it is getting viewership, it's also a platform for me to be able to point out that's stupid. And some of it's not even necessarily stupid. It's just, it's incorrect. And some of it I do think is damaging. I don't want people following this kind of ideology, because when you try and convince people, and I won't go too in-depth.
It's damaging from your point of view, though.
Yes. Everything has to come from my point of view from me, because it's my point of view.
Well, yeah, but I mean, flat out saying something is damaging is a pretty damning statement to make.
It's a heavy accusation. Yeah. And it's one that I would have to provide substance and foundation for, which I will do when we go into the in-depth conversation.
Right. And that's what I was trying to lead you to, where that's something else we try to do on the show, is that we actually try to add some substance to what our arguments are, try to back them up with facts. And we have what we've been calling LeVar Burton moments, where we say, hey,
don't take our
word for it.
Do your own research. We're simply trying to intrigue your minds and get you to think. We want you to be curious, and most importantly, I think we want you to, when you hear something, don't automatically accept it. Challenge everything.
Yes.
Not to the obnoxious level of you have to say why. You can just be like, okay, you've said this. I'm not going to give you affirmation until I go and do my own research.
Right. Question everything. Do not take anything at face value. And when you've eliminated the possible, whatever remains, however improbable, is probably the truth.
Yes. Most of the time. or you're just bad at doing research.
Well, yeah.
The overall point that I was making with the Morg thing, though, and it's not specific to him, is that anytime I come across someone that is trying to convince people that they can become more than human by any means, I'm going to consider that damaging. Right, and I'm not talking about, oh well, I can put an RFID chip in my arm. And now I was going
to ask about the technology aspect.
Right, and it's I can teach you how to think your way out of being a human. Well, you can't. Right, and so
you're starting with human. You're not adding anything at that point.
Exactly. So I find all of those ideologies damaging. So when I do the episode about him, I will go in depth and break down a lot of the things that he said and why I think it is bullshit. And why I think people should avoid it.
A little teaser for later.
Yeah, so apart from the daily dialecticals, we're going to try and get together 2, maybe 3 people at a time to do a longer format conversation, more in-depth on bigger subjects. Because the daily dialecticals, there are things that I'm going to be able to rapid fire. And if I have people on for them, that's going to be awesome. But the weekend conversations, we're going to try and do 2 a week. And that's when we're going to take the bigger questions and we're going to actually spend some time on breaking them down and making them simpler and easier to follow.
Yeah, we normally try to keep those about an hour ballpark. And
and we fail, but we will do better
usually. But the point is that it's something that's consumable. It's not.
Yes.
We're not going to rant forever.
Yes. So basically, what has happened is that John and I have become a little bit frustrated and burnt out on the format that we were working with, and we're trying to revamp this to make it more efficient to the likability of our style. And the evidence of that is all of the previous recorded material that we've put out there.
However, we're not arguing and saying what we did before was necessarily bad or wrong.
No,
what we're saying is we're
better.
trying to, we're improving.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes. We are evolving. That is what we're doing.
Oh, yeah?
We're looking at our past mistakes and we're saying, you know what? The third leg isn't necessary.
Are you calling me an X-Man?
Yes.
That's
I'm sorry, X-person. Does that make you feel better?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's gender neutral, so we can take it. But
I think that's more on my side. Hey. But no, I would like to think of it as evolving. Like we started out having casual fun with it. Then we got a little bit more serious. Then we branched out, and it's not having the effect, at least from my perspective, right? Because it's the only one I can give. I don't think that it's having the overall effect that I wanted it to have.
I think that it's I think as a body of work, it's not quite having the overall impact that you intended because you were looking at it from trying to attack things from a dialectical perspective and trying to look at it from all different sides. And when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, you end up with bullshit. And that's what we ended up with because it's entertaining bullshit. It's funnier than shit. I've said shit too many times.
Some of it.
Some of it, right. But
it's like when you say spoon too many times.
But no, the thing is that you end up with everybody's trying to attack it from their perspective, or maybe even a perspective they're not comfortable with, and it just gets chaotic.
Yeah.
And the intent of the show is to try and get it to the point where it's semi-structured. We're never going to be structured, but we can get to the point where we've thought about this, we've hashed out all of our perspectives on a specific viewpoint. We're done.
Yeah. I also wanted to be able to provide a broad view for each topic, and I felt like that we narrowed down too much, and then we had
a rabbit hole problem.
We would either hit and focus solely on that one lightning rod, or then we would just start burrowing all over the place, and then the entire episode became something that was not anything connected to the original topic.
Yeah, which happens in shows, but it didn't. While entertaining, it didn't necessarily match the intent that you were going for.
It did. It was all style and almost no substance. That's kind of the way that I'm looking at it.
Stylish as hell.
We were bell bottoms. Yeah. I don't have bell bottoms. I want bell bottoms. I think I have the ankles to pull them off. I want capri bell bottoms. That way they flare right in the middle of the calf. No? Okay, I lost it.
No, anyway. I'm trying to think about how this would work. And
the problem with that scenario is you have to start with the image of me without pants and then add the pants, and
which is disturbing in and of itself.
Exactly.
It's
the thighs. I've got amazing thighs.
I mean,
it's okay.
My style, you told me that I'm basically walking in here like I've had a shot of Merle Haggard before the show, and I'm not letting you live that down.
Let it go.
This isn't Frozen.
It was one time. And you looked like you had... Okay, I'm not going to say
he's right. I walked in my... in my weekend, I've worked on stuff, don't really give a crap, clothes and boots and stuff.
It was a perfectly acceptable comment at the time. I didn't think that it was going to become a part of your identity.
But it was stylish.
It was stylish. You looked good doing
in
it.
In a haggard kind of way.
You pulled off country sexy. Yeah, I'd ride your tractor. What, drew out your awe too long?
No. Oh. I said it was stylish in a haggard kind of way.
Oh, yeah. See, there you go. Yeah, but give me shit about it. And so, so we're going to have the Daily Dialecticals. I don't have a catchy name for doing the weekend thing because Daily Dialectical, that just sounds fun. But the weekend one, it's just going to be the same old downright dialectical.
Well, I mean, why not? It works.
It does. That's the one thing we got right. Right?
We got a couple other things right.
Yeah, we'll keep the gills. We don't need to crawl on the land. Yeah. We can evolve slowly. We don't have to try and do it too quickly or too flashy.
I mean, we evolved our first Alex Jones off.
We did.
Where we did Alex Jones impressions. We had that going for us.
I wanted to participate, but then I was just like, no. I gave up faster than he did. So I've mentioned this before. For all of the information that we're talking about at the moment, it is a podcast that we've previously started. We've got, I think, close to 40 episodes out there. Yeah, and so you can go to www.downrightdialectical.com.
Which is difficult to spell, so you might want to Google it.
Yeah, well, it's right there.
I'm sorry. Also, it's on the screen.
It's right there. Like, you don't have to Google it. It's just add www. and then .com at the end, and you got it. That's all you need. That's why I did it. I made it easy. You can also, we're on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. They're pretty much anywhere you can listen to a podcast. We're there. iHeartRadio, Pandora. Pandora was the hardest one to get on, actually. That took me forever.
How is the bar high to get on Pandora? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. And it's an easy process. You basically just submit it to them, and then they do their review, and then they get back to you. But it just took Pandora forever.
What review are they doing?
I love you, Pandora, though.
Yeah, no, you guys are great. I'm just trying to figure out what review you're doing of a podcast. I mean, generally podcasts are just some people getting on here talking with. That's what we did.
I even did it the Safeway, and I marked that this has adult material, like, because we say fuck a lot or shit 6 times in a
NSFW.
Yes. I just can't say letters together quickly, which is problematic when we have to talk about the LGBTQ community. I did it that time. I fucked up the community part.
But you left off some letters according to the prospective assistant health secretary. No, she says letters have to be there.
Fuck, I'm gonna have to do some research then because I don't know. I
honestly can't keep track anymore. I'm trying, but
I've got LGBTQ,
and there's RA and some other stuff.
No. Okay. Anyway, I'll do some more research on that before we have that conversation again.
Yeah, we'll need to.
What was I talking about?
You're talking about the format of the show, and
this is it a lot. We get distracted. I get distracted. Daddy keeps me in line. I know. I had to. And so we'll have the dailies, which are going to be quick. I think those are only going to be 5 a week, though, Monday through Friday. That way I can have the weekend for doing whatever extra editing is necessary, but it also frees it up for the long format. So quick and easy Monday through Friday. Then the weekend, we'll get more in depth. We'll kind of hit it a little bit harder. I'll get those edited Sunday and hopefully post them Tuesday, Thursday, I'm thinking. Kind of keep it broken up a little bit in the middle of the week.
This is in no way a guarantee. This is
not at all. No, don't trust me. Don't rely on me.
This is us saying we're going to make a solid attempt.
Yes,
to get you.
It will
content.
Be a valid effort.
But
yes,
life happens.
Life does happen. As I mentioned earlier, I've got a lot of shit going on that kind of gets in the way sometimes.
I mean, that's why other shows that they take time off periodically, or they're gone for a week or something like that.
Yeah. But let's face it, if I took time off every time I was having a bad day or going to the doctor, I would never do any shows.
Well, I mean, if you live in Eeyore land, as you're apparently describing, I don't know how to help you. Eeyore's the depressed donkey from Winnie the Pooh.
I don't think I'm a depressed donkey.
Well, you're definitely something, and Burrow came to mind.
Okay. And I know where my tail is.
Oh, okay.
I keep very good track of that.
Is that... Wait, with a tack?
Yes.
Okay.
And a safe word. It comes with a safe word.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it's taped on the inside. So anyway, that's about pretty much it for the introduction. You can find us on Facebook. It's really easy, Downright Dialectical. You can find us on Twitter. It has actually been so long that I've talked about the Twitter that I forgot what the handle on the Twitter is.
It's Downright Dialectical.
It is Downright Dialectical, but the @ where you actually you can just type in Downright Dialectical, you'll find us. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to just have a little bit of fun making a valid attempt at looking at these issues from multiple perspectives, and then we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's about it for an intro.
It's rebirth.
It is. We're crowning, and we're gonna get spanked, and I'm waiting for that part.
Oh god.
Oh no, the wrong button.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. There's so many buttons on here. I don't know what all of them do.
Well, that one was actually in the right spot to make it funny.
It was, but it was still awkward and embarrassing, and I apologize.
Well,
Normally I'm better
that was
with
his
the
Saturday
fingering.
night.
Yes.